Then we went to the meaning of revenue, trade receivables, trade payables. Now we move to the creditors who already explained trade payables are the sum total of the obligations which the firm has to the outsiders. So the amount that the firm owes to outsiders in form of creditors, that is the parties, entities for which the debt is outstanding for a good or service provided by them, and then bills payable, which is again an acknowledgement of debt taken by the firm. Creditors and bills payable both come under the current liabilities of the firm. Next, let's look at another very important term used in accounting, which is goods. Now, goods are basically simple, basic layman meaning. It is an article or item purchased for sales purpose, purchased or produced by the firm for the purpose of generating revenue. Now, when does a firm purchase good from one vendor and sell to another uh, buyer in the market? It is when the firm is a trading firm. So, what do trading firms do? They buy from one party, sell to another party, and earn some commission or uh, profit would be a better word. So, your firm says Star Limited, it is importing goods from China. So, it say it is importing fans from China, and then what it is doing, it is simply selling the fans at say 20% margin in the market. So if a fan costed 100 rupees per unit on import, now when it is being sold in the Indian market, Star Limited has kept the selling price as 120 rupees per unit. So this is what a trading firm does. It is not into production of the commodity. It is just purchasing from one party and it is reselling or selling the product to another party at some added profit. Coming to manufacturing firms, so that is the second type of firm which we'll be talking a lot about. A manufacturing firm, again, literal meaning, which is manufacturing goods, working on goods, processing goods, purchasing raw material, converting them into finished goods. Uh, that would be a manufacturing firm. And it is fixing its selling price again on the basis of the cost incurred during the production process, that is bringing the product to a final position. So here we add the profit margin in the cost and then the selling price is decided. Now, when I talk about accounts and recording of entries, there is no goods account. So we prepare accounts for many terms which we are using here. So we prepare accounts for all the assets, we prepare accounts for all the liabilities. Accounts are basically summarizing similar information, clubbing all the information related to Ram at one place, clubbing all the information related to land and building, which is an asset for the firm at one place, clubbing all the information related to movement of cash at one place. We prepare an account. So that we'll do in detail practically also. But as such, there is no goods account in recording. What do we do? When the goods are sold, we have sales account. When the goods are purchased, we have purchases account. Next, when sometimes goods which are sold, the buyer might not be happy with the goods. So a related term here related to sales is sales return. What happens is that you have sold product, a proper lot has been delivered to the buyer. Out of that box or lot of 25 fans, the buyer finds that one fan is not operating properly, it is defective. So out of those 25 fans, one fan is returned back to the seller. This movement is known as sales return. So when an item or a good or a unit which was sold is returned back by the buyer, that is known as sales return. So again here we are not recording this transaction by the name of goods, but now this will be sales return account. Similarly, you have purchased some raw material, out of that you find some quantity to be defective, you return it back to the vendor, to the seller, that becomes the purchase return for the firm, will be recorded in purchase return account, purchases return account. Now, another name used for this is sales return is returns inward. Again, why returns inward? Because these goods are coming back to the firm. So it is known as returns inward. When purchases are returned, purchase return takes place, then some goods are flowing out of the business. So this is known as returns outwards. So again, no nomenclature of goods is used. We use these terms. Then again, the goods which lie unsold at the end of the year, that is coming under the closing stock. I'm writing it here, I'm introducing it here, but I'll explain it in the coming slides. So closing stock would be the goods that lie unsold at the end of the year with the firm. So what we see is that goods, though very important term, does not enjoy a separate account. It is as per the movement, as per the work that is done on goods, that it comes under different accounts. I hope this is clear. We move further. If there's any question, you can stop me. Okay, moving ahead. Next term used is expenses. So if income is inflow of cash, expenses are outflow of cash. So costs that are incurred by the firm in the process of earning revenue. So you are selling goods, you are earning revenue, but for production of those goods, you have purchased raw material, you have hired labor, and then you have incurred electricity expenses, you have taken a building factory on rent. All these costs that have enabled you to generate revenue come under the term expenses. Now, expenses are the cost of assets consumed or service used during an accounting period, and then here some of the examples are given to you: wages, salaries, rent, interest, depreciation, telephone charges, etc. So let's first start with two terms that have been used here: wages and salary. Now, wages and salary both are the payments made by the firm to the labor or to the staff that is involved in the working of the organization. Then, what is the difference between wages and salary? Wages are generally paid on daily basis or weekly basis to the labor employed by the firm. On the other hand, a salary is generally paid on monthly basis. The main difference between wages and salary is wages are paid to blue collared workers. Blue collared workers, while salaries are paid for white collared jobs. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between blue and white collar?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
What is the difference between a blue collared job and a white collared job?
Ma'am, blue collar jobs are basically the worker level jobs. I mean, masons and
Hmm.
all of the workers, and white collar jobs are basically office jobs.
Yes, absolutely right. Someone else also raised hand.
Uh,
Yes, yes,
White collar job is more respective job as compared to a blue collar job.
blue collar job. Okay, okay, yes, that can be another point of difference. Yes, anyone else in the class who would like to add something? Yes, Rishabh.
Ma'am, blue color job is a white color job is a basically suit and tie worker type
Okay.
job, often done in a office, and
Yes.
blue color job is often done in a like a labor,
Okay.
constructor, mining, in
Yes.
that type of
Okay.
jobs.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely right. Thank you. Yes, Nehal.
Ma'am, blue collar jobs are based on contracts, whereas
Mhm.
salary based jobs, white collar jobs are more comparatively permanent.
Yes, that can again be a difference, though again nothing permanent now, even in a white collar job. But going by the definition, all of you are absolutely correct. Blue collar jobs are generally for the people working in factories at a lower level, which involve, I would say, technical skills more, and they are paid on daily or weekly basis. On the other hand, white collar jobs are office jobs where the payment is done on monthly basis. So they are not directly related to the production of goods, but yes, white collar jobs ensure that there is a proper working of the organization, because they're generally the administration jobs, and they also ensure that the movement of goods is uninterrupted. So, which means that ensuring that raw materials are procured on time, supervising the production in the factory, then ensuring the final good reaches the market without any interruption in between, ensuring continuous supply of goods in the market. All this comes under the job of, say, a manager, a supervisor, and these are examples of white collared jobs. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Next term which is used is rent. So rent would be an expense for the firm. Say the firm, the owner is not having his or her own factory. So some space, a factory is taken on rental basis. So the amount of rent paid every month is an expense for the business. Expenses are deducted from the revenue to get the net amount or net money, net earnings of the firm during the year. Next is interest. Interest would be again an expense for the business. If the business has borrowed some money, and that borrowing can be from a bank or it can be in form of debentures, and on those on the amount that has been borrowed, if some payment is being done by the firm, then that is the interest expense. Depreciation, again, I have discussed at length. Depreciation is the reduction in the value of an asset due to usage, normal wear and tear, technical obsolescence. So I've used the term technical obsolescence earlier also. Technical obsolescence is that the technology becomes outdated. So floppy is no longer used. Floppy was used with the desktops to store memory, store data there, increase the memory. Today we use pen drives. So this is a technical obsolescence. Or in your phones, you see that the, what would I say, the classic phones or the simple phones no longer in use, very limited use. Smartphones have replaced the normal phones, or landlines have been replaced by mobile phones. So all these are examples of technical obsolescence, and depreciation as an expense is shown in the books of accounts. Though what is interesting about depreciation is class की depreciation आप entry कर रहे हो books में, अलग से कोई कैश आउटफ्लो नहीं हो रहा बिजनेस से. आउटफ्लो मीन्स कैश इज मूविंग आउट ऑफ द बिजनेस. तो आप किसी को डेप्रिसिएशन की अमाउंट पे नहीं कर रहे. दैट इज जस्ट एन एंट्री which is done in your books to reduce the asset by some percentage or amount. And telephone charges, again, you understand it quite well, that that is an expense for the business. Okay, I have already explained you the term purchases. So goods account नहीं है. Goods जब purchase होते हैं either on cash basis or on credit basis for the purpose of resale. So raw materials आपने purchase करा या goods purchase करे, that will come under the purchases account. If purchases are returned to the supplier for any reason, that comes under the purchases return. When purchases are done, so purchases can be on two bases. Either you have cash purchases, where immediate cash payment has already settled the transaction. And then you have credit purchases, when you have taken the goods but the delivery has been done on non-cash basis. So credit purchases would give rise to another account, which is creditors. So creditors are suppliers of raw material who haven't been paid in cash. Similarly, sales are transactions that generate money for the business. So, in fact, one of the biggest sources of cash or inflow of money for the firm is sales. Again, they may be on cash or credit basis, and when some goods are returned from the customers to the firm for any reason, then that is a sales return for the firm. Goods I have already explained to you. Very important term is next term is stock. So stock or inventory is a tangible asset. Tangible, something we can see, something we can touch. It is held by the business for the purpose of sale in normal course or for the purpose of using it in production of goods meant for sale. So I'll write down three terms here which apply to stock or inventory. Okay, so you see three terms here on your screen, and they all come under stock or inventory. Now, raw material would be the input for production of the final output. All inputs which are required, and raw material being the prime input in production of a commodity. So, say you are producing a register, manufacturing a register, your factory is manufacturing a register. So, cardboard, paper, glue, all this would be the raw material that is required for production. Next is work in progress. So, between the raw material and finished goods, the stage at which you are working on the raw material is work in progress. So मतलब क्या हुआ? Raw material था paper, cardboard, register is a finished good. So finished good is when the uh, produce or the item is ready for sale in the market. So nothing further needs to be done on the finished good. Now it is ready for sale in the market. Work in progress lies between raw material and finished good. So say you purchased raw material 10% काम हो चुका है, 50% काम हो चुका है या 99% काम हो चुका है, जब तक वो 100% पर नहीं पहुंचेगा तब तक that remains work in progress. So you're starting from zero, 100% is finished good, any percentage in between would be a work in progress for the firm, and under stock all these three items are added up to give the inventory or stock for the stock which lies unsold in the beginning of accounting period is the opening stock. One that is lying unsold at the end of the period is the closing stock. Closing stock for this year becomes the opening stock for the next year. This is how you record the inventory or stock in the business. Depreciation I have already explained. I have also explained that depreciation may be charged at a fixed rate, or the depreciation may be charged on fixed amount basis. तो जब fixed amount होती है, it is straight line method of depreciation known as SLDM, straight line depreciation method, or SLM, straight line method of depreciation, and WDV is written down value method. So when we do practical, I'll explain this again with example there. Okay. What we will do, let's take up this as the last term for today. Vouchers. Voucher is a written document or a printed receipt which is supporting a particular transaction. So when we did the definition of accounts and qualitative features of accounting information, what we did was that at the first stage we are recording information, and all the transactions which are taking place should have evidence, and evidence for all the transactions is through the vouchers. So voucher is in form of a bill, in form of an invoice, in form of a cash memo, which is acting as an evidence that a transaction has taken place. Okay, I hope these terms are clear.